I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, May the 4th, brought to you in part by Safeguard. Safeguard wants to know if your dewormer is working. Text the word SAFE to 48109 to receive a free fecal test kit and also get a chance to win a pail of Safeguard mineral. Monday fats lower. That should never happen. Should never sell fats on Monday lower. But we did it this Monday. You know, we're in a down market already, but we've already sold fats lower, likely already establishing the market lower. And maybe we did kind of presume that your market might be lower. Your board started out a little bit lower. Of course, it's lower every day these days. But, you know, to give in on a Monday, you know, and then the packers are preaching to you how they don't need any cattle, yet they're wanting to buy your cattle on a Monday and a Tuesday. And I cannot get it through anybody's head, but, you know, I don't know what needs to be done here. You know, you can buy people books and send them to school, but if they don't learn the lessons, I don't know what you can do about it. So people got spooked because over the weekend, your packers sent out some notices, and a lot of your auction markets that have fed cattle sales forwarded them on. They were on social media and stuff, and it was talking about how some of your packers were not going to be in your sales, participating in the auctions, your fed cattle auctions. And none of them are all that big. We got a few big ones there. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock, Sioux Falls is pretty big. Yankton Livestock's pretty big. A lot of your other ones are just, you know, just a couple 300 head mostly, but said they weren't going to be participating in those sales. So it spooked some guys. It did exactly what they wanted it to do, and they got scared thinking they weren't going to be able to get rid of their fat cattle. Packers need fat cattle, guys. They really need them. You know, they're making $800 plus a head on them. Why wouldn't they want them? And guys are just more than happy to let them have them and then sell them on a Monday lower. But we've also got more delays scheduled this week in some of your packing plants. And like I said, your packers are so disciplined, sending out news that they got cooler cleaning, or they're going to be installing new equipment, or that they're not going to be participating in auctions because they have some old country inventory they got to clean up and things like that. That continues to instill that packer psychology that they don't need your cattle, and they're doing you a favor by buying them at a lower price and taking delivery of them. It's just ridiculous. You know, we continue to fight the corn being up so much, and then your packers are enjoying this box beef cutout values that's at all-time record highs during normal conditions. Tell you what, I had a friend of mine that was working on graphing corn, and then he was going to try to graph some box beef cutout values too, and he messed up somehow and got them combined, and ended up doing some damage to the roof of his house, and it was kind of a tough deal there. But that's pretty much how your graphs look on both corn and box beef cutout values. Your feedlots are wanting rid of cattle. This corn has got so high, some places are having a hard time getting it. If they don't already have it contracted in or have enough of it piled up or around, they're having trouble getting it. Feedlots are wanting to get rid of cattle. They're pulling cattle early onto your show list. Now, those are good things. It's going to help in the long run if they start pulling cattle early, start marketing them at lighter weights and things like that. We've already seen this week, already this Monday, your packers got more aggressive for some yearling type cattle, some cattle that went on feed as yearlings, harder fed and going to grade easier than some of these calfy cattle that were put on later. But your packers are really going to start scrambling, especially if they want to continue to get so much of the choice and prime product, because as we start selling these cattle at lighter weights, marketing them greener, it's not going to be as handy for them. But the heck of it is, you know we're selling a lot of cows. We know we're slaughtering a lot of heifers. We know that we're not keeping many heifers back because it's dry. But the hell of it is, guys, if you don't use the leverage that you have, and you don't even try to get more money. How are we ever going to get any more money for cattle if you don't ask more? It's impossible. You know, I had somebody comment on my latest talk for Monday, and made mention in there that the Packers are absolutely violating the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890. And a friend and I was talking about it. We decided to look it up, and boy, it sure looks like it. If we're looking for a precedent, tell you what, you look up the information on that Sherman Antitrust Act, and it was put in place to protect the public from failures of the market. Does that sound like something that we might be suffering from right now? And another statement, it said it's not against competition, but against conduct that destroys competition. Very interesting to look at that. And I tell you what, we're having the meeting of truce down in Phoenix early next week. All three of our big cattlemen's associations, NCBA, RCAF, U.S. Cattlemen's Association, are getting together. They're going to close the doors. No cell phones, no staff, no lobbyists, just the leaders from those organizations. And I hope like hell they can get their heads together and come up with some things, at least at the very, very minimum, decide which one of these minimum negotiated cash trade deals we're going to get behind. And if we all get behind it, it's a shoe-in. It's a done deal. I ain't sure we couldn't get both of them if we wanted, but they're kind of one and the same. But let's decide which one we're going to get through, get behind and push through. I'd like to see kind of a hybrid of the two. I'd like them to use that Cattle Market Transparency Act, but go ahead and set the percentages for each major area. That's what I'd really like for them to do. And guys, you got all the power in the world behind you. You can quote the Sherman Antitrust Act from 1890. We can pull all kinds of data for you, and you've got all the results in the world. I ran the quick math on what cattle should be bringing with box beef cutout values at Monday's close at $299.30. Fat cattle, if even with that, you know, of course, we won't let the Packers make some money, but they could pay $188.50 for cattle live. $188.50. They paid a little $117 on Monday. It's ridiculous. Let's talk about your board on Monday. June live cattle futures down $1.27 at $115.30. August down 27 cents at $118.35. Going your back months on live cattle up a nickel to up 40. So it wasn't terrible. Feeder cattle contracts, May was down 55 at 133.05. August up a nickel at 146.80. Your grains were easier. They were a little bit lower and weren't toying with your feeder cattle as much. Going your back months of feeder cattle down 15 cents to up $1.40, and that's on your April of 2022 contract. But like I said, grains were a little easier. There were spotty showers all across the Corn Belt. Areas that I talked to guys, northwest Missouri, it poured. Get up into Iowa, it was a little more spotty, but from just a trace to some pretty good rain up there, guys. And, you know, you're not going to have it perfect every time, but there was some rain there. We even got some rain in the southern plains on Monday. Let's talk about your fat cattle weighted average. On last week's movement, negotiated out of your 5-area feeding region, 58,300 head compares to 57,600 the previous week, 47,800 a year ago this week when we couldn't even get workers to the plants. Your live sales last week, 117 to 122. That 122 was only on one deal of heifers, mostly 117 to 120 and largely 118 to 119. But that was steady to $4 lower. Your weighted average on live steers, 118.89. That was down 247 compared to the weighted average from the previous week. Dressed steers and heifers, 187 to 195, but mostly 190 to 191. That was $1 to $2 lower. Your weighted average on dressed steers, 190.44, and that was down $1.67 compared to the previous week's weighted average. Nationwide negotiated sold 70,400 head compared to 260,800 head of formula cattle that were priced last week. Of that 70,400, only 24,200, or about 34%, was for the 2 to 4 week delivery, and that was a little bit lighter than the previous week when we had nearly half of them. But your packer's been wanting to buy cattle with time on them all the time, but wasn't as bad last week as it was the week before. The few sales that we had on Monday, it was only about 200 head in Iowa at 117. Nebraska, 4,700 head, and I heard there was 1,000 or two more after the reporting come in. So that would be a pretty decent day of trade, but it was at 117.5 to 118. Did have several sales delivered cattle at 119. Box beef cutout values, I mentioned it earlier, just continue to make new records. Choice cutouts, Monday afternoon, $299.30, that was up $2.80. Select, $283.79, up 74 cents. Talk about your feeder cattle markets, your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Monday at 133.65. That was down 17 cents, been down every day. Look at your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma National Stockyards, Oklahoma City, 6,500 head. Feeder steers, $2 to $3 lower. Feeder heifers, steady to 3 lower. Steer calves, steady to 4 higher. Heifer calves, steady to 4 lower. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 4,600 head there, steady to $2 higher for the most part, but nothing really to brag about at any of those sales there. We did have a few stick-out sales around the circuit. I'll give you a few of them. Central Oregon Livestock Auction, that's Trent Stewart's sale in Madras, Oregon. 58 head, 561-pound steers bring $179. Platte Valley Livestock in Gearing, Nebraska. 58 head of them, weighed 663, steers at $165. Stick-out sale that I saw on Monday in your Zach Tran top quote for the day. Come out of Tri-State Livestock, McCook, Nebraska. 57 head, weighed 997 or 1,000 pounds at $123.10. So they cost $123. Sell them in October, they bring $123. They're going to cost you $130 or $140 to put each pound on. Doesn't sound too good to me. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.